Welcome to Barbara's Bulletin, the podcast where we bring you the latest news and updates from around the world. We have a fascinating story to share with you, one that highlights the complexities of immigration policies and the importance of accountability in government actions. Recently, a federal judge dismissed the criminal case against Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a Maryland resident who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador last year. Garcia's story made headlines when he was arrested by Immigration and Customs Enforcement and deported through one of the Trump administration's mass deportation flights, despite having a pending lawsuit challenging his removal. The deportation was later attributed to a clerical error, with officials admitting that Garcia's removal was an error and an oversight. The Supreme Court partially ruled in favor of Garcia, ordering the Trump administration to facilitate his return. After Garcia was finally returned home, federal investigators brought smuggling charges against him, reopening a 2022 traffic stop case. However, Judge Waverly Crenshaw dismissed the indictment, stating that the evidence presented in court sadly reflects an abuse of prosecuting power. The judge pointed out that the investigation was tainted by a vindictive motive. Citing public comments made by former U.S. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche that tied the reopened investigation to Garcia's successful lawsuit. Garcia's case has sparked debate about the fairness and transparency of immigration policies, as well as the need for accountability in government actions. Advocacy groups have hailed the judge's decision as a victory for justice and a reminder that immigrant communities will not be silenced or intimidated. As we continue to follow this story and its developments, we'll be exploring the broader implications of Garcia's case and what it means for immigration policies in the United States. We'll also be examining the responses from government officials and advocacy groups and analyzing the potential impact on communities affected by these policies. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Barbara's Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. We're continuing our coverage of the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, where tensions between Israel and Lebanon have escalated in recent days. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the complexity of this situation and the deep-seated concerns on all sides. According to reports from the Straits Times, Israeli strikes have targeted various locations in southern Lebanon, resulting in damage to infrastructure, including hospitals, and casualties among both military personnel and civilians. The Lebanese military has confirmed that one of its soldiers was wounded in an attack on an army barracks, despite a ceasefire being in place since April 17. It's essential to note that the conflict involves multiple parties, including Israel, Lebanon, and the militant group, Hezbollah, with each side having its own narrative and motivations. The situation is further complicated by regional and international factors, making it challenging to find a lasting resolution. The World Health Organization has expressed concern about the impact of these strikes on healthcare facilities and the civilian population. The organization has reported that several hospitals in southern Lebanon have been damaged, including the Tebnine Hospital, which suffered extensive damage to its emergency room, intensive care unit, and surgical ward. As we strive to provide balanced coverage, it's crucial to acknowledge the human cost of this conflict. Civilians, including women and children, are often caught in the crossfire, and their stories deserve to be told. We've spoken to residents in the affected areas who describe the devastating effects of these strikes on their daily lives. One resident, Wissam Baroud, shared her experience of fleeing her home after an Israeli strike near her neighborhood. "I don't know what happened, it felt like doomsday," she said. "We quickly got dressed, rushed outside, and started running." As the situation continues to unfold, we will maintain our commitment to providing fair and accurate reporting, giving voice to all parties involved, and exploring the complexities of this conflict. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. As we wrap up today's show, I'd like to shift our focus to a developing story in the South Caucasus region. Armenia, a nation of approximately 3 million people, is navigating a complex web of diplomatic relationships with both Russia and the European Union. Recent tensions between Armenia and Russia have been escalating, with Moscow denouncing Yerevan's efforts to strengthen ties with the EU and NATO. The Armenian government, led by Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan, has been seeking to diversify its foreign policy and reduce its dependence on Russia. This move has been met with resistance from Russian officials, who view Armenia as a key ally in the region. The situation is further complicated by Armenia's economic reliance on Russia, which dominates key sectors such as energy and transportation. However, Pashinyan's government has been actively courting EU investment and cooperation with the ultimate goal of potentially joining the European Union. As the June 20th parliamentary elections approach, opposition groups in Armenia are campaigning on platforms that advocate for closer ties with Russia. This has led to accusations of Russian interference in Armenian politics, which Moscow has vehemently denied. It's essential to acknowledge the nuances of the situation and avoid taking sides. The people of Armenia deserve to have their voices heard and their interests represented in the international arena. As this story continues to unfold, it's crucial to prioritize fairness, balance, and accurate reporting. That's all for today's Barbara's Bulletin. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay engaged.